Hello everyone, welcome back to J Journeys. I hope all is well. My name is Natalie and today I have a beautiful guest on the channel called Emily Thelander, who is a holistic health and beauty esthetician, kundalini yoga teacher, creating ceremonial space for healing, rest, beauty, connecting with yourself, and also you're doing like facial courses and stuff. You're very knowledgeable within the whole field of like holistic beauty and taking care of our skin, but also the underlying a bit deeper layers, which we'll get into more. And you're also a kundalini yoga teacher, so it really blends in nicely with the holistic approach to health and beauty and taking care of ourselves from the inside and out, because it kind of reflects. So yeah, it's really beautiful to have you on, Emily. Thank you for taking the time, and I'm curious to hear more about you. So please introduce yourself a bit further, and we'll talk more about everything kundalini and health and beauty and all these things as we go.
Thank you so much for the beautiful introduction, and thank you for having me. I'm excited. I've not done a lot of this. I think I've only done one that was about creating a community of surf skating and being with women, but I feel like it's still in the same realm.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah. I am definitely in the health industry.
Yeah.
And it's because I've been here for so long. I was reflexology at 20.
Wow.
And back then there were only like 2 schools with bodywork and reflexology, so everything was just so new and weird, and people who were teaching were like game changers. Like they were talking about the Aquarian age, and it was just so normal to me to suddenly enter a space of actually talking about philosophy and deep healing and meridian and Chinese medicine. And I was just like, okay, this I understand. I don't understand, wars or bullying or, this was just kind of like feeling to be home again. So. And so I've been back and forth within this healing space, struggling a bit finding my place in it, because I'm also introvert and just a human being trying to make a living and creating a life with my then husband. And so it's kind of like me going back and forth, and then turning 40 on the other side of a divorce. I feel like I've really landed in what is true to me, and I'm still just a student trying to understand, but now it feels like I don't have to struggle. I don't have to follow a certain protocol. I don't have to be something special to be spiritual. It's more of a daily decision to connect with my breath, with my fellow people, and with my thoughts or my stupid beliefs that I have to every day kind of ask to please step aside so I can be relaxed and be present in the now.
So. That's so beautiful. What an empowering approach.
It has been a few decades of pain, suffering. Also a lot of joy of human life and so on. But I guess for many of us, it is the pain and the suffering that kind of sparks this wanting to go a little bit deeper. So that was the same for me growing up, being actually pretty sick, had a lot of different problems. That was also a struggle for my mom. I was raised by my mom, but she was already so awake, because she took me to different healing modalities that was then so weird. Also, she didn't vaccinate me because she just saw a lot of allergic reactions and so on.
Mm.
She just understood that I was sensitive.
Yeah.
And so I was, I think for me, laying on the floor of some shamanic woman's house, having her drum, and it was just like, oh, okay, my body, again, something is just...
It feels like home.
Yeah, and we just felt the instant healing. So there was no discussion. It was just like, okay,
No.
this just works. And I
Yeah.
go there and had like completely dark circles, and the woman tested me, and I felt like 1,000% unloved. And after the session, just clear eyes, just a little bit more relaxed, which was so helpful for my mom as well. Yeah. So, where were we going? Where was I going?
So you kind of found this path a bit through your mum then.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you discovered reflexology quite young as well. I mean, reflexology now, you can talk about it and bodywork and people kind of know, but I imagine, when you were 20, that it was a different landscape.
Completely, and also very alternative. It was, you had the vibe of an old woman when you were doing reflexology, and it was just like, but I still feel like people embraced it because I was able to help, with infertility, and I helped with babies having issues with their little gut and stuff like that. I also participated in giving births, and it was just like a tool. And I really, I kind of validated the healing work and the weirdness, that it was just a tool that I could.
Yeah.
And in the background, all these things happened, and I was, I think it was, for me, it was, and it still is, double-sided.
Yeah.
Also with healing and with nutrition, and you can for sure, eat your way to health, but you can also adapt your body into accepting different foods. So it's, and it's even more now for me, not black and white. And everything exists. Everything is true. Ice baths, heavy breath works really do work. But it's also just a lot of flushed chemistry in your brain and in your body that makes you feel so good. But it's also the other stuff. It's also deeply spiritual and holy when you meet yourself in the cold water. Yeah. So that's where I am right now. Not being able anymore to say that, come, I can heal you. No, but come and have an experience.
I'll hold space.
Yeah. So that is, and this is a much better place for me to be in, because I don't have the same ethical problems. I still have this feeling of, wow, what can I even write anymore on my social media describing my treatments? What can I even talk with you about? Because everything is true. Yeah, and we all have to find our path there. And when that is said, kundalini yoga that I began practicing after the divorce, after the loss of my grandmother, was a huge help for sure. Having like a lot of emotional pain, distress, trying, therapy, psychology, and just feeling, but this is all just here, and I'm just, it goes back and forth between my body and my mind. Just lost in the wilderness. And then sitting down with my yoga, kundalini yoga mentor, and just feeling her presence and her voice going so deep, and then the mantras, and I mean, I think your listeners have heard about kundalini yoga, but just allowing myself to be in a circular movement for like 15 minutes and just having some calmness and some hope for the future. So that was what made me really want to explore kundalini yoga as another tool
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you pick and you explore different tools, and you, in different phases of your life, you might need different things. Sometimes breath work might be really potent, sometimes more subtle practices, or sometimes kriyas and mantra singing. Like you have to kind of find and pick and mix a bit, because there's just so many tools for us to access the inside and calm the mind and land in our body and in our heart.
Yeah, for sure. What is your takeout from Kundalini Yoga? What has been your...
I haven't practiced that much Kundalini Yoga. I've practiced normal, but like the more physical yoga practice for 6 years. I had the same experience as you when I was 21 and I discovered yoga, that I was like, oh my God, this is where I belong. This language, and like it was instantly, my body knew all the poses. It was so natural to me. So I think that what my experience with yoga has been, looking back in hindsight, it's just taken me into the depths of myself and into like consciousness, and really connecting and embodying me in the physical world, so that you don't just go out in space or get into the mind, to really get into the body and realize that we have a physical body to be here, and to have our senses awakened, and to be present in this moment and be connected both to ourselves. But once we connect deeper with ourselves, we can connect deeper with others. So it's so like connected in that way. And and then also, as you mentioned, like with the philosophy part, everything about yogic philosophy for me, I was like, yes. I it resonates so deeply for me. So that's why I've kind of stayed on that path, because I'm like, I really believe in this.
Yeah, I always remember as a young girl really wanting to be like this yoga girl, and also at the same time I was like so afraid of traveling to India. I was like, oh, that's not for me, and also kind of felt like, what is the Nordic version of this whole philosophy? And I was like, okay, we have the Asa faith, the Vikings. We don't really have any bodily. So for me, it took a while, and I also, as you, I did a teacher training, a Hatha and Vinyasa teacher training, and was introduced to some Kundalini kriyas, and I remember just having this feeling of, not only a feeling, but I actually experienced my own birth, and I was like,
wow,
okay, and it was so like, not even new, but more like, okay, I have to be a little bit careful.
It's powerful energy.
Yeah, both powerful, but also it just made me feel like I wanted to stay there all the time. And I have the same feeling when I do breath work. I feel like I can just, can I please just be here? And then I get absorbed by this, because it just feels so, afterwards feels so quiet. So I'm looking for these in-between moments a lot. Also with my clients, I aspire to create the in-between space. So for the healing to actually integrate. Yeah. Because
I resonate a lot with that, about when you do like breath work, or even just after, like in Shavasana for me in the yoga practice, I was like, I could die happy now, but I also, now I just want to stay in this. I don't want to go out in the world. I don't want to get like shattered, and we, like, as being a sensitive person, like all the pain and the suffering of other people that you can kind of see around you, and it's like so it's
you just want to
please
don't into the hard disk. No.
But you mentioned, because you hold space for healing, and you're actually also touching the body, and especially the face, and I guess like a bit of gua sha, and you have the reflexology, and you're also educated within some kind of bodywork modality as well. So it's like very full body, mind and soul kind of treatment.
Yes.
But what would you say, given that, I mean, we're both been in the health, and I guess also a bit of beauty comes in that space, what would you say that your approach is to beauty? Like, after taking care of many women, and with the intention of, I mean, sculpting the face and this and that, but also just in general, what's your perspective on beauty? Because it can be both shallow and deep.
Yeah, for sure. And it is exactly that. To me, it's I feel like beauty is actually super spiritual. Mostly because we are nature, and nature can be extremely beautiful. There's nothing that kind of beats that. So for me, there's nothing wrong about wanting to enhance yourself, because that's also loving yourself.
Yeah.
But it's not a mean to get more love. It's not a mean to have more inner love, or to not be abandoned, or so it's not a slippery slope, but it's more, if it's a gap, if you have like a hole that needs to be filled and filled and filled, and nothing can really fill that hole. So on one side, I'm very interested in beauty. On the other side, I have no interest. So I don't really care about skin texture. I don't know a lot about lotions or creams, not even gua sha, but I know how it feels to feel beautiful. I know how that can like almost like penetrate you on a cellular level, and will kind of enter your being, and then you will have something that is a little bit beyond beauty, which is you have radiance. And I don't know right now know the English word, but it's what other
kind of a luminosity.
Yeah, but it's there is a certain word. I hope it will come to me. But it's when you have people can see it from afar because in your aura. So it's you liking yourself, liking and loving your own values. You can look in the mirror and you like your face. Even on the bad days, you can still be like, oof, I need to wash it. But you don't want to run away from it, and you don't need to go and get injectables to feel some. And again, if you feel like doing injectables, please do. You have my support. Like, I feel like if life is difficult enough, and then it's your life to grab. So if that makes your world just feel a little bit more nice and pleasant, go do it. But do it because you want to have the experience, and not that's another thing you have to reach to be lovable or desirable or even choosable. So but yeah, I just to go back a little bit in history, I was trained in reflexology and in bodywork. So there's a certain way you treat a person. There is a protocol, a way to do it. And I was also always so tense in my body afterwards. I was struggling to do the right thing and to have this muscle release. And since I become more and more in contact with the divine on a personal level, I just feel like I don't anymore have to do something particular. Of course, I can move the lymph, I really get a good lymphatic system flowing, and I can help the body relax from the gut, from the lungs, and all the muscles around the neck, and that will increase the blood flow, which will enhance beauty. And a relaxed being will equal relaxed muscles, that will equal relaxed wrinkles, because it's just that's how it is. And it's a little bit more of a long road to beauty, but when I have my clients, they can feel it, and you can see it when they leave after one treatment. And I just think that is just so incredibly nice. I'm able to both release some tensions, and then I can see immediately that the white in their eyes are wider. This is a good indication that, okay, we have had the liver, and we had the kidneys also working here, and that is just, that feels like love for me. And also I think I wouldn't have any interest in it unless it also has this again, we hold so much tension because this is what we show to the world, and we lean in so that people understand that we really like listening and we are there for them. So we do a lot of stuff to be more likable, and we really don't address the face a lot. We address the body and stuff, but this is just, it works throughout the entire body, because our meridian ends there, our nerve ends there, and I often also do some reflexology work at the end, because you will have the feeling of your entire being treated. It's just flow. Yeah. But
it's so cool how the face connects to different organs and different points in the face connect to different. It's so it's a very complex system, but then it's also very just holistic, and it makes sense. Like the lymphatic system is connected, and the nervous system is connected, and your thoughts are connected. Like if you think that you're beautiful, that will radiate too. It's like everything's connected.
Everything is energy. So it's just so hard to understand sometimes that this space between our bodies is even more dense than the actual body. It's just, we cannot really grasp it. But I feel like the more we want to understand, then it becomes more and more accessible to us. Yeah. In terms of healing, you can see the entire body in the eye. You can treat the ear, you can treat the hand, you can treat the tongue, or just see. So it's kind of like the entire body is a map to the entire body. It's just like wow. And sometimes I also, because you can map out like where the different organs are related to the face, but it also differs from person to person. Sometimes I have an idea that, okay, I can see this person, there is something with the small intestines. I want to go there without having to tell my client that, and then I just realize, okay, this is not where I can treat this. I have to go behind the ear. I have to work some of the vertebrae. So there is different ways of getting there, and that is my biggest takeout, that healing can happen from anywhere. I sometimes have an idea that, no, that is too superficial. I have to dive so deep. The gritty, but that's not how it works for me. Like, come, whatever calls you, begin there, and it will end up at the same place. There might be
all the journeys lead to the same place.
If that is your intention, and that is also something that I really have learned on my own, is that you can continue going deeper. There is more there, but at the same time there isn't anything. So if you want to be happy, then it's nice to understand your being, but you don't have to stay there. You can just also go out and do happy things. Happiness. So we sometimes, and this is so personal for me, because I can keep on, because it's a list of mine also to pick up the layers. But again, I think the lesson is sometimes learn fast. So we hear a person saying some wise words, and that is actually it. And then we want to hear them again, and then we want to hear them again, and then we want to go there again. But it's actually already integrated. But we feel like am I not supposed to do more? There must be more. And we look at other people, and we are maybe thinking that, oh, she's got it now. She lives in this house. She got the husband. She's got the car. She's got the man. She's manifesting, but that's somebody else's journey. And
I resonate with that. With also that it's about balance, even in the spiritual, or the growth, or the evolving, because it can be very nice if you're a more like a reflective person, and you spend a lot of time processing life, and you think about existence. But to sometimes the most healthy thing you can do is to just go out in the world, and like go out with your friends, or go for dinner, or do something very human and real, and not get too swallowed of that even if it's interesting and nourishing to not only be in that space.
Yeah, and also acknowledging am I happier now since I entered the spiritual path?
Yeah.
I know now what makes me happy. Could I have found that without doing any spiritual work? Yeah. If you're grounded in yourself, if you like yourself, if you think that you matter and that you are important, then of course you can find that also. Yeah, so for me a good example would be a person that is connected with nature. And for me the most spiritual thing is knowing that you are a natural being. Knowing that there is Father Heaven and Mother Earth, and you are in the middle, being fully accepted and loved. And then we are told that we are not, and that is what we are here to unlearn. And I think that it's the biggest problem is that we live in a society that makes us believe otherwise. We are taught that we need to learn some very small piece of information and they can stretch it out and make it bigger, but it's very small. And I think if we were much more connected to our land and what we eat, and then we wouldn't have to be on a healthy diet. And it also takes a while to like kind of leave the diet and start eating unprocessed, natural.
Just normal stuff.
Which is the normal. And then, that is not the special organic stuff. That is just what it should be. Then we are being introduced to these chemicals, things that really just our bodies become so attached to, and then we become attached to a belief system, we become attached to industry of commercials, and then we are there, and then it's difficult to step away, because then we become excluded from our tribe, and that feels very painful. There's a lot to say no to, which is very difficult. That's also difficult to change behavior. That is, as a nutritionist, that is one of the things that we know that our clients have so much issues with in changing their habits. And so I'm very gentle, and I don't like to follow a certain protocol. Again, just because I know that I'm a flawed human. I have so many flaws.
We're all imperfect.
Completely imperfect. And completely perfect. So, and your truth, I think I could maybe go with at least 80%, I would say. I feel like we would be in this, have a lot of the same thoughts and values. And then there is something that is true to you, which I would never be able to resonate with. And that is like a field of the most beautiful flowers and plants that are so different, and they are all beautiful. And some humans are insanely wealthy. they can do that. Some people are here for another quest and another. And that is what is, the permaculture. That is biodiversity, which is in us, and we kind of want to control all the little bacteria and parasites, and we also know that we can control something with our thoughts, but also they are controlling our thoughts. So this is a conversation like this is also learning new stuff, even though we both maybe had a lot of these conversations. But again, it's we are moving energy, and some will go deep, and some will just then
exactly.
So for me, choose your interests and your hobbies and your desires, after you as good as you can. Slowly learning day by day, because that is also healthy, and there is so much information out there to be shared, and wonderful, talented, crazy, intelligent people. And then there's also just the simpleness of getting a good night's sleep, being grateful. I'm a little fan of stoicism, where you can just kind of this is what is right now, and I love my life. I love my whole life. Because this is what is. And then there is something out there that definitely is yours. But right now, this is what is. And you're always on the lookout for this, or this. Then it's just, then you're not present, and then you'll miss out. And I know this is something that we all know, and for me, it is the simple stuff that actually works.
Same. Yeah. I'm a very big, for me, my mental and emotional, like my entire well-being, the more simple I make my life, the more simple routines, the more simply I eat, the more pure intentions I have around everything I do, the better I feel. And that's priceless.
So priceless. And of course that may change over time because you evolve, and then, as you said, then we have to maybe I have to go look a little bit again, and that can be a book. And that is, I feel like that is where we can also really use our intuition and ask for help and guidance. And the last couple of years, I've been more and more religious.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's not something within a certain religion. Even though in Denmark we are, it's the Christianity, of course. But again, that is just sometimes some high-minded people's ideas of what God is. And for me, it's I think it came because there is people really want to feel again that there is something.
Yeah, I think we're a bit spiritually starved as a society here in the more atheistic countries.
We have so many gods, whether it's fashion or beauty or now we need a more pure one, a more innocent, and I feel like it really, for me, it also came up during the divorce, where I was kind of like just on my knees, and just like, help me, please, 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 I'm so it's too much for me, and I just feel like it worked. So ever since that, I'm using it a lot, and sometimes I forget, and then I remember, and then I do it, and I feel it really helps in terms of looking for something external. And we get so disappointed with our gurus because they're just again people, and they're
also just human.
And I remember, especially doing the kundalini teacher training, that it turned out afterwards that, again, this guy, he fell he fell from the pedestal, and it was just so heartbreaking for some of the participants that they have kind of like more than devoted. Some people have moved and adjusted their entire lives and their children. This is for the really old community, but also some of the new students who are just like, whoa, what is this? I cannot teach anymore, and this is evil. And again, there is evil and good exists, and it's but for me, still the teachings are divine. And then we just need to understand that this is only a little truth. And God is somehow the big truth. And we are.
I really like that about like praying. I also do that sometimes, and it's like when I need to lean on someone else's strength kind of thing, when I'm like, please show me the way here, like I don't know how I can do this alone. And it's like, why not pray and just like have that faith and hope and trust that there's something else out there that's taking care of me and has a has the higher perspective and is guiding me towards like the best outcome or the best, the higher path kind of thing.
Do you ask for signs then, or how do you approach it?
Yeah, sometimes I do, like, show me a sign that I should even continue with this, what I'm doing, or, you know, or I just, like, so I usually pray actually before I'm about to go to sleep. I might pray, like, please give me a good night's rest, or, like, mini prayers kind of thing.
Did you know?
But it's something quite recent that I've started with, like, more, like, recurringly. Sometimes I would do that before when I was, like, very desperate and really struggling with something. But now I do it more on a, almost on a daily basis, just mini things.
Did you notice that you get some small signs?
Yes.
Are you able to, you know, follow up on it or react on it, or is it easy for you?
Yeah, like last time was yesterday morning. I was like, because I always journal a bit in the morning and I set kind of some intentions and like the direction for the day. And I was like, it was a bit of a gloomy day and I was feeling a bit like, oof. And then I was like, please send me some like momentum or some like energy around Jade Journeys. And then I went to like dance class. And I've talked before about interviewing the instructor because I really like her classes and the energy and everything. But it's like kind of not matched in the schedule and everything. And then she was like, oh my God, Natalie, wow, let's do the interview today. Like, come to my house after, you know. And then that just turned out to be a really beautiful day and a really nice conversation, and everything like unfolded from there. And that was just from me in the morning, like, you know what, let's like, something different needs to change today. And then I was like, let's go to the class to get some endorphins, and you know, and then it just like flowed away and I had a really nice day.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be big things.
No,
just small hints that just make something really beautiful. That's true. Yeah, and I noticed that I can now use the word God with clients, and I always begin the treatment with a little prayer for the highest good and for healing. And I think 5 years ago I would have said universe or source or highest love. Or now I can really say the word God, and nobody is not defended, but it's just a charged word. I feel like there's been so much wrongdoings in relation and so on. So I can just feel like a readiness in people's systems for having really a God energy entering. I think it's gonna help us both, you know, with our society and with the politics, and that affects our health. And I think it's time for us really to take a stand on chemical substances in our food, in our water, and I mean, we can do a lot of detoxing and we can clean and we can uncalcify our pineal gland. But if we are exposed to this amount of chemistry, it's going to be difficult for us. So it's really time, especially for people in the healing industry, to also be a little bit more showing our fangs. We have a tendency to be, because it is the path of the ego is to relax and just go with the flow. But it is time, I think, to be a little bit more, to have a defined value system again. Is it only about me, or is it actually about us being connected, and therefore
the collective?
Yeah, we need to, because I feel like that is something I've also been working with. That what is it that I'm doing all this for? All this work, and what if I, instead of focusing on my own inner happiness, what if I go doing stuff that would make other people happy? That is equal happiness to me. And I remember reading this material about a woman setting up prayer groups. This was in the US, and she really wanted to examine or have some numbers to whether healing was working or not. Not prayer was working. And so she just put together a lot of different groups of people. And every time they met up, it was once a week, they had one person lying in the middle. And then there was this circle of people praying for the highest good and for healing to this specific person with a specific problem. And that person was healed. She could see that after half a year, and she went to different groups, different communities. A lot of healing was happening, both physical level, also emotionally, and but the most beautiful part was that the people that was praying, that didn't receive any prayer, they saw so much healing in their own lives.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was like, why isn't this common knowledge? Why isn't this? Why do we not meet up every Sunday instead of drinking cafe lattes? Why don't we just pray for each other? Put you down on the floor in the middle and let us weep and let us feel for you. Let us feel the pain. But we don't really. It's
we're scared of feeling.
Yeah. But it's just apparently it works, and we can pray a lot more for each other, and also so it can be incorporated in any yoga work, or just take 10 minutes. Does anybody need some healing? How can I be there for you? And so again, there's nothing wrong with optimal health. There's nothing wrong with optimal beauty, but again, I'm not so sure whether it will give you satisfaction on a person level, unless you also put yourself aside completely and devote yourself to being there for other people. I feel that is kind of like where the magic really starts to happen.
To feel that you're making yourself of worth for others and being like waking up in the morning and knowing that you need to show up for others, because in order to show up for others, then you need to take care of yourself so that you can share
for sure
from a full cup.
It doesn't have to be some big things. It can just be most of us people, we do it already within our own family systems and with friends, and I feel like that's how it is. Most people are really there and supportive, and it's more when healing becomes something of I need to reach this level of health.
To become that you need to change or become better.
You do become sick, and some people become very ill, and then they have to go on a journey and find out if that's their calling, and find out what is this about. And sometimes healing happens, and we have to be okay with everything. We have to be okay with our flare-ups, and then suddenly we, as me, going towards middle age, and then there's other stuff that like enters our consciousness, and then we're like, menopause. I'm not ready for that. And then luckily there are people out there, women, who's just like on that stuff, and you can go search for help, and we have different stuff that is just where we find our interests go the most. And
definitely, it's those kind of black holes that we just feel drawn to. That's like a sign in itself that we're so drawn to something. Then there's probably something there for us.
And I like every time I see a person and whatever they say and whatever they fight for and their interest, that is what they have also been struggling with, of course. So that's also something that I tell my children, that I bet you, even though she seems like this coach on Instagram, she's still struggling. Otherwise, there would be no reason for her to speak those words about female empowerment and I don't need a man. And yes, you need a man, or whatever your preferences are. It's also about accepting and relaxing into that we do need each other. And
exactly. We don't need to do everything on our own.
No. So so that is, I think, my main focus is right now, if people want to go check me out, is that helping your body relax, into a relaxed, natural state, so that your biology can do what is here to do.
Because the body knows what it needs to do to keep you healthy and happy, but sometimes we destroy that process because we're stressed breathing, or we're not relaxing or resting enough. And I think that you've said that about the nervous system and like cortisol and how important that is as well in terms of beauty and health, to get into that relaxed state, which is kind of what you facilitate.
Yeah, also because I think we in our deepest innocence, we kind of think that this societal norms and standards are the normal, which is like actually completely fucked up. But we just like assume that, well, I'm supposed to be able to handle this. And for sure, generations has been able to it. It has been working. And then we also think it works putting our children away in a daycare, and because that's what we do. That's success. And then we can go buy our car and our summer house, and it's just like, it's been so normal for so long, and now we have to really understand that some people can still do it. Some people are, maybe they have a stronger nervous system, but if you're sensitive, and as soon as you begin going back to nature, becoming more natural, then you will become more sensitive. And you will have like even harder existing in the normal. So like opening up the door to health and to relaxation will require you to be more relaxed, and that's somehow sometimes so annoying. I just want to be able to do that work, or able to, but that's not my experience. I feel like you make the choice and then there's no return. You make the choice of eating organic, you can never go back to non-organic food. Your body will. That's the same if you begin really taking care of your gut, then you kind of fucked up, because then you like to, and again, maybe when you let that go, then sometimes you can get back to whatever. But it is becoming sensitive, then you have to do it all the way around. That also means that if you're a sensitive person or a highly empathic person, it's not only the nice feelings you are sensitive to, it's also anger and fear. And so what I do on a little bit more practical is that I try to, before a client, I breathe deep. I make like this circle around myself, and I pray to God that I'll keep my own issues out of the equation. You will come lying on the treatment bed, and we will slowly begin by you just landing, and I'll put my hands on the body, and I will forget everything I've learned about fascia or deep tissue or muscle, and I will ask the body, dear body, dear beautiful body, show yourself to me and let me know what it is you need. Then I can go do my stuff in the face and but it's more interesting to know what the body really wants than me having an agenda. And again,
and that can be different every day. Even the same person can need a different treatment every time, because they're in a different state, and their body sometimes is more tense, sometimes it's just sluggish. It's like
I've created different treatments to accommodate, so you can come and get a beauty treatment. But I experienced that when then the beautiful woman arrives, and she's like, I just want you to give me a glow up, and then she's there, and then she kind of just disappears into another space where thoughts are, and that is just so nice to be.
We need that. We need to like let go and just relax and let someone else hold us. I think I noticed that with people who come to my yoga classes, they're not necessarily there to stretch. They're there to just let go of all the other performing or everything that they have to be in their normal work or life, or being a mother or being responsible, like all this stuff that you carry, and just like not carry it for a moment.
And also be guided and be helped. Sometimes it's so tough being your own dad and your own mom, and always choosing the right and doing the right and be a good girl doing stretches in the morning. But it's difficult for me to get myself to that level. I need somebody to be my for my body. I can do there is some areas where I can really do it myself, but I still need a good yoga team.
Yeah.
That's just how it is for me. So, and that is
same. I love going to like a guided yoga class or taking a guided meditation, because it's like you don't need to be as disciplined yourself, because someone else is like making sure that you do what you should do.
And see you, and then again become part of the whole class, which can be super nice. I'm just about to hopefully begin a new education in some more trauma-informed bodywork, if there's a space. I'm really excited and both to get some knowledge, but again also because there's something I wanna work.
Yeah.
What was it that I wanted to say?
About guiding people and
okay, it was somewhere.
But that's super interesting.
Yeah.
With the trauma informed, because I find that with yoga and the fascia and the connective tissue, that it holds so much, not only emotions, but like deeper stuff as well, like memories, and it's very potent to start tapping into those parts of the body to release it and feel it, but then also move on.
Yeah, exactly. And that is also something that I'm very aware of, that you can come, and I feel like actually I've never experienced anybody leaving my room feeling discomfort. But what it will do for you on your personal life, maybe sometimes it can kind of initiate a career change, or okay, I really want to move to the countryside, or okay, I have to really skip sugar or alcohol. Okay, that's really not very pleasant, but I never really give any advice anymore, unless you come for me advice, because
we are our own healers.
We are our own healers, and of course there is some does the gut work? Is your digestion okay? Or because it's an issue, then it's difficult to do this or this or this, and so, but and again, of course, there can be some supplements that would be so beneficial, and I would mention that. But mostly, I think I'm really coming back to: are you in nature? Do you take your rests? Are you working with the things you like? And if not, are you able to change? Or how can we make you feel comfortable still? And so small stuff on the long term. Every day you put on a smile on your face, even though then of course it will have a rippling effect. So it doesn't be big changes. And it's, for me, it's really, and I also see that, for example, with my kids beginning now, my daughter is 19, my son is 16, and my son began, weightlifting, and see, okay, it's only been 3 months, and now he can actually see, because he's determined. He does it. And it's so inspiring to me. My boyfriend, he has the same kind of approach to just doing it. And without
get out of your own way.
And it's like he doesn't want to go to the gym, but he does it because he knows that if he skips, then, and I'm more like it doesn't feel nice, and I think it'd be better for me just to read a book. So I'm warming up to actually begin doing some weightlifting.
Cool. I'm not very into it, but I know it's very good for you.
I'm like, but I feel like, again, growing older, retaining some muscle strength and working on the bones is, I think
it's supposed to be really good, and for women too, like balancing the hormones and
feeling strong still. I also feel is that's also, as we spoke about, if you want to have joy in your life, go do joyful things. Don't sit down and look at other people doing it. The same, if you want to feel capable in life, then go do something. And if you want to set boundaries, instead of working on it mentally, go have a physical boundary. Maybe do a what's it called when you not karate, but more self-defense. You're able to say no and like people away. So we have that because we are here, luckily, in our body to be able to experience things. We can feel stuff. So, and if you want to be strong, then maybe you should develop some more muscles. And it's
Yeah.
That's how.
And also building mental plane or like discipline and respect for yourself for turning up every day. And...
Yeah, exactly. Like, can I trust myself? When I say that I want to love myself, do I observe my thoughts and how do I speak? And do I change that, or do I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it takes up some time.
Yes, it's a process.
Yeah.
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 And what would you say, you mentioned then that you're doing this trauma informed bodywork training, and I know you also have some facial courses launching maybe later this year. Is there anything else, and can you tell us a bit more what's like in your, if we leave the present for a moment and think about dreams and the future and like where you would like to go and what your plan is, or if you have a plan?
Yeah.
Or are you more forward looking?
I feel like I have a plan, which is always like a more higher calling. What interests me, I love Pinterest, so I have a vision board, and I just save whatever I like, and it just gives me so much energy and joy.
Yeah, I love Pinterest.
Yeah, it's just, for me, it's not shallow at all. I'm like,
no,
like that, want that. And then I'm like, okay, life, are you in on this? So there's me with my desires, and then there's life's or God's plan. And I try to dance a bit. So there's something about timing, and right now I've just had enough clients asking me, please, can you do a course? So I just felt, after so many people asking me, I was like, okay, then it makes sense. So I created a small facial therapy course.
Wow.
And it's going to be, the first one is going to be a live thing. So in Copenhagen, in Danish. So I can go a little bit deep, and it's going to be a course both where you learn to release, but also lift and sculpt. But also, again, understanding, who are you as a therapist? What is your blueprint?
Uniqueness.
Yeah, what is your uniqueness? What can you offer to your clients? What do you feel like you want to offer? And so it's and again, I cannot say what you're going to get out of it exactly, but it's going to be practical mostly, and amazing. And I'm looking so much.
Yeah, it sounds lovely.
And hopefully it can turn out to a course in English, because I have a lot of English clients and friends, and maybe also some online stuff.
Yeah, that would be nice. I would be up for some online like facial therapy courses.
I think it's, people do it. I've seen it. I've never had the interest, but I'm kind of like, why not?
It can be nice.
Yeah, it can be nice, and I can reach more people, and it can be people who are already working in healing, but it can also just be somebody who's just like, this is so interesting. I just want to work.
And I think as women, like, we are naturally drawn to these kind of things, just for like the feminine, taking care of ourselves and like putting on lotion and having some self-massage techniques to just like take care, as we said, like beauty, and it's like pampering your soul as well.
Yeah, and also
can be fun.
Doing it for your children, your husband. It's just so nice to be able to treat other people in, So that's something I want to do. And also I have been growing my garden for maybe 5 seasons now, and it's just, this is like my biggest interest actually, is being able to go out. I did my first harvest yesterday, where I was able to go out.
Wow.
Pluck some few stuff and make a beautiful salad and green herbs for the sanctuary, for my clients, but also just for, again, enhancing natural biological. The herbs are amazing. You can chelate, what's it called when you do heavy metals, and it works on the brain, it works on parasites. It's just, I have like tons of books about herbs, because I'm just,
I feel maybe you can come back on and talk about the herbs and nutrition stuff, because you know so much about that too, and I'm very interested to learn more.
I would love that. It's like,
because I'm like, with herbs, they've been around me, But I would love to learn more about how you can like incorporate them in your daily life, what's good for what, the digestion, detoxification, heavy metals, like taking care of the brain health, because the natural world has it all that we need.
Completely. And it's like that's another thing we haven't fully accepted or understood or acknowledged, that these are all here for us. Whether they have like a certain smell, a certain look, or a certain healing property, it's there.
Yeah.
Any disease, and we know now that some of the flowers, they only have like one insect who can fertilize, and it's just so crazy to think that we even need anything else.
Yeah.
But again, I'm also a big fan of medicine when it's needed. I'm like, that's also so holy. But don't make it into like one religion. There's we have a whole plant kingdom that is just like there for us. Also, I still, grab a.
And doesn't have any side effects.
Yeah, actually, they can be pretty. They can have side effects. Actually,
they can have. Okay.
I've just kind of ruined my own skin because I've been doing a lot of St. John's wort, lifting my mood, and I've just noticed that I get so light sensitive. So I've created some melatonin. What's it called? Like when your skin is just a little bit more dark.
Yeah, melanin. Yeah.
So I need to look a little bit on my how my liver is functioning, and that's a little bit of a work. So, but yeah,
interesting. Well, I would love to have you on again to focus a bit more deeper on the herbs and the because you're certified like within nutrition as well.
Yeah, nutrition and also herbal stuff.
Yeah. Wow, I love that.
And so let's
do that another time. That would be amazing.
I would love that as well. Sure. No, so another interest is definitely the garden and making the soil more nutrient dense, so that what we actually eat is nutrient to us. So I want to do that in a bigger scale. I feel like something move out of the city and maybe do a little bit more, but it has to come on its own time. That's all.
Yeah, you can't rush
it, and also make room for my kids to also be on that journey because they're like about to move out of home. So there is just some things that I want to experience, so I can also be best with my clients right now. Because if I get stressed, then I will have to leave my little treatment room, which is located at my house. So it will be.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's,
that's lovely.
Inside the house, but in a separate building with all the green around. So I feel like I get a lot of help, both from clients, but also from the trees that are here, the birds, the plants,
and if someone's listening to this and are also based in Denmark and maybe even Copenhagen, it's quite close to the city, or
it's I think 15 minutes from the center. So
perfect.
And I've had people also coming from abroad when they're on holiday. I've been so lucky. Kind of managed to that people really like it, so they come, which is I'm very grateful.
I would love to come next time I'm in Denmark.
Please do. We can
would be amazing.
Be in the garden if the weather is on our side, and then you can come and experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like the gardening and the herbs and that's like its own like pillar in your life.
Yeah.
Where you get a lot of energy and inspiration and like that's your way of resetting a lot, right?
Definitely. And if you asked me 6 or 7 years ago, I would have been like, I love nature, but to be a person that would like walk around and plant stuff, it just wasn't in my field back then. And then how did it even happen? I think it was something with health and understanding that the soil is everything. And the soil will give you so many beneficial bacteria, and you will both kill them.
The minerals.
Yeah, I was like, why have I not thought about this before? I'm a person with allergies. Of course, I need to be around the humus in the soil so that I can build up my immune system. And I mean, it's also even just going out and plucking like an apple from a tree. It's just that it's visible to you. It's free because you take care of the soil. Then this will be your gift. You don't have to do much, but
you reap what you sow.
Yeah, in many ways.
Exactly.
I'm a bit tired of pollution, chemicals. I mean, I know that we have all been participating in this. I know that it's not something that other people have done to you, but I just feel like that now must be a time for us to really, as citizens, demand something else. We have a huge problem with our oceans, our lakes. Our drinking water is terrible, which is embarrassing.
Yeah.
And then we have used it for so much, like we use it in our toilets, as you know, drinking water, and it's there must be better ways. And I feel like after the whole COVID thing, where we just saw how fast changes could happen, so it's not difficult. And I feel like still there is this tendency that some governmental systems are trying to make us believe that, oof, no, this is going to be it's much more difficult than you understand with your little brain. And I'm like, no, nature is fast. So if you really want to, I'm not sure yet how to do it, but I feel like living the life that you want to see in the world is maybe
that's the way to do it.
Yeah. And I don't know who to vote for anymore. I feel like it's a system that needs to undergo some big changes, but but drinking water should be clean, of course. Nature does it beautifully with the layers of stones and soil and plants, and it goes through, and it's something that we should mimic for sure, not make it something super complicated.
And it's so basic. We need water to survive.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what's on my mind, is creating a life where I can sustain myself and my family, where I can have my own energy system. That would be amazing.
I think that's a really beautiful goal. And also how, like, introducing your children to that lifestyle and way of nourishing themselves and having respect for nature and taking care of it. And it's I liked when Mother Teresa says, like, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. And I think that creating your own little bubble in this like big world where everything, as you say, it's like sustainable and you can be self-sustaining and having a loving family, and that, like, if everyone just did that, it would be amazing.
Yeah, but it's true, a sentence like that, putting that on your fridge, having that one goal only in life, that would be more than most people would, because it's so full. It's so that's where everything starts, and we have so many wars internally and within our families. That is just the same that is mirrored out in the world. So
exactly,
it just feels sometimes like we need to do so much and to make this. It just gets overwhelming, and then we go back to our diets and stuff.
The very tangible list of things that in our closest proximity.
So what is health to you? How does it look on a practical level? And what is self-love? What is self-worth? And then build it around that. And that's definitely something that I want to keep on doing, and maybe also to be able to invite other people into that space.
You can guide the way a bit. What's possible, and I feel like people sense when you're living with that kind of integrity and connected to your own truth, and then it doesn't have to be that someone copies you, but it can be inspiring to see someone else walk their talk and do what they feel is important for them, because then you're like, actually there's space for me to do that too, even though it's something totally different.
It's highly inspiring to see people really having their values here in front of them, and then they just go do it, even though it's super difficult, and it means that you have to say goodbye to other stuff, and then maybe it will fail, but at least you did it, and then
you tried,
and you know a little bit more about yourself. And I remember 20 years ago seeing families moving into the forest with their kiddos, and it just seemed so scary for them to leave the school system. And of course it failed, and it was brought into television with how badly they failed and how how unpleasant it must have been for the children. And I'm like, no, I'm not so sure. Actually, they were together.
No.
They had time together.
Exactly. Quality
Yeah.
time.
So maybe, they didn't go to school, and maybe, but again, they knew each other. They know what they like and what they don't like, and they have the time to actually to be still together with each other. So just to close that off with what I really like is to be practical about it. So right now, just for example, I'm learning to fish a bit.
Oh, really? Wow.
More stuff, mostly because I get to spend time with my son and my boyfriend, seeing them together also. But it's I love practical skills, like a skill that you again you can take and you can feel, and you can feel yourself improving. And it feels empowering that you have some control over your life, and so that can also be hunting. Maybe I thought of bow, a few years ago, and I still want to be able to maybe shoot an animal at one point, and I really like life skills.
Yeah, that's super inspiring. I'm not very good at practical stuff, and I think sometimes because I feel so like I'm just up in space sometimes that seems so difficult. But I remember like when I was living in the jungle in Costa Rica, like I learned to drive like a vehicle, and even just that, me learning that was so empowering for me, because I was like, now I can go around, I can, it definitely is a very powerful way to feel like I've got this.
For sure, that's a big thing. Like that's a huge thing. Actually, I would be a bit terrified. Like for jungle life, I would be so strange to me. And I would be able to like, okay, what is this? Who are you, jungle? And how can I be here without moving into your territory, but still feel like I have a right to be here and I can take care of myself? It's but of course, these things will develop us and make us stronger, for sure.
Well, I feel like time is flying by, but I would love to have you back on to talk more about, all of this stuff. It still feels like we touched upon many things, but there's more to chat about, I feel, and especially the herbal part, and maybe even gardening in itself can be, because you're learning stuff, and if someone else is listening and wants to start up their own gardening projects, it can be really nice to get some kind of introduction, and like, this is how I started. And
sure.
So you're very welcome back, and I'll link like all the details to you so people can find your website and your Instagram page, and if they're in Copenhagen they can book a session with you, and they can also stay tuned for your upcoming offerings and courses. And I'm really curious to follow this trauma-informed method, so I'll be following you too. And thank you so much for taking the time, Emily. It was really lovely to hear your thoughts. You're a very wise woman, and you've embodied a lot of stuff. It feels like you've felt and experienced and explored, and it feels like there's a lot of truth to what you've landed in right now.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It was such a pleasure. I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Me too. Thank you, Emily. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Same.